We are live. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I just realized I don't have my earpiece in. There we go. All right. Let's see how many people. We got 70 people in here. I'm sure more are going to roll in. Big update. I'm sure most of you heard, if you're Delphi followers, the trial has moved up from October to May 13th. Literally 2 months out. I can't believe it. Can't believe I'm actually saying it. I've got goosebumps. Been waiting to hear what actually happened, and hopefully they have the right person and these poor girls get justice. But still, I can't believe they put in a motion, I think on March 6th, the defense did, somewhere around in there, I think it was March 6th, for the speedy trial for the 70 days. And it was earlier today or last night, Judge Cole approved it and set a date, May 13th through the end of May. So that's, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, something like that. And I'm sure it'd probably be a 3 to 4 week case, I would think. But then again, who knows? But pretty wild. So we're going to go over a bunch of different things, what to expect, what's coming up. We've got a hearing coming a week from today. What experience do these lawyers have? We're going to go over that. We'll go a little bit over the evidence. We've gone over the timeline a bunch, so we're not going to touch too much on that. But I did find some interesting things that we're going to go into and that I'm excited to go over today. Before we get started, we always like to give back by featuring the missing, and I've been getting so many requests, which is it sucks to see so many people missing, but that's just kind of how it goes. But I do appreciate, and I'm always happy to help. So today, first request is Caleb Harris. He is 21 years old, brown hair, brown eyes, 5'11", 180 pounds. He went missing, in Texas, Corpus Christi, Texas, missing on Monday, March 4th. So he went missing a week from today near his apartment complex, the Cottages, on 1900 block NS Jocelyn Road. Apparently it's near the campus of Texas A&M in Corpus Christi, Texas. After letting his dog out, Caleb left behind his vehicle, keys, wallet, and ID. Caleb was wearing teal pants and a white shirt. Caleb's phone last pinged at 3 a.m. If you have any information regarding his whereabouts, you can call 361-886-2840. And a handsome kid, too, just 21 years old, missing a week from today. And there's a kind of a close-up of Caleb right there. Then we have another request. Let me move that one. And this is Courtney Stauffer. She's been missing much longer, 12 years now. But this was sent in as a request. She was last seen early morning hours, July 29th of 2012. At her apartment as well, in Palmyra. I hope I'm saying that right. Palmyra, Pennsylvania. All of her personal belongings were found inside her apartment. Her family is offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to Courtney's whereabouts. She was 28 when she went missing, 5'8", 110 pounds. If you have any information, you can call 717-228-4403. And just wanted to show, I think there's a little more details real quick. She has a tattoo on her right arm, One Love. Tattoo on her right foot, 3 stars. And tattoo on her left pistol, shooting flowers. She was a spa worker and a pet groomer. A very beautiful girl, 21 at the time of the incident. Oh, interesting. Okay, so she was 21 when she went missing. And here's a picture of her. I've seen a bunch of photos as I was looking this case up. And, wow, I mean, this girl could have been a model. I mean, she was very pretty. And so two people going missing from their apartments at age 21, their whole life ahead of them. What a shame. So if you can, share this video so we get that information out there. As you may notice, we have a thing going up at the top. We're trying to raise some money for our first adventure this year, and that is for Aiden Clune. For those that may be newer to the channel, not only do we cover the missing and true crime, but we do actually go out and search for the missing. I've been involved in this search before last year. He went missing around the time of Dylan Rounds, which is another case I've worked on as well. But we need a drone. Unfortunately, the drone that I had or borrowed is not a professional drone, and we need something that can go for many, many miles, especially for this case in particular, because there's a lot of trees, and we need a drone that has the collision course and everything. But so our first mission will be April 13th and the 14th. So literally 1 month almost from now, we're going to go out and search for Aiden Clune for 2 days. And of course, we'll come back with drone footage, and hopefully, if he's out there, we'll find him. But anyway, Jenny Price, who donated $100 on our last stream, and I'm sorry I messed up what you were trying to say. I thought you were trying to say something different. She probably understands what I'm saying. But she said, drone fund. Thank you so much, Jenny. Has now donated $120 towards the drone fund. That is so awesome. We're trying to raise maybe, if we could, maybe like around $100 per live. Anything will help. But that is kind of the goal. And for those that have been with me know that it's worth it, because we want to get out there and help search for these missing people. So thank you so much, Jenny, for starting us off. Really appreciate it. And let's get going. Back on. So I always play this video just for anybody that's not familiar with the Delphi case. Is a 2-minute recap of the case itself, and then we are going to get into all the latest details in this case and look at the attorneys involved in the case, some of their background, and much more.
February of 2017, 2 teenage girls, Abby Williams and Liberty German, had made last-minute plans to go to the Monon High Bridge, which was supposed to be a teenage hangout with a historic trail and a really high old abandoned bridge. The 2 girls, who were best friends, just had a sleepover the night before and were excited when Libby's sister, Kelsey German, said she would drop them off as long as the 2 girls found a ride home, which they did. Although it was February, the temperature was nice for that day, and even though it was a Monday, they had school off that day. The 2 girls, Abby and Libby, would be dropped off just before 2 p.m., where they planned on only staying for a couple of hours. The 2 teens, Abby and Libby, would begin walking the 501 trail to the Monon High Bridge. As the 2 would approach the bridge, Libby, who had her iPhone, would take 2 pictures, one as they passed the first platform, and another which shows Abby looking down as she is crossing the scary, tall, gap-filled railroad tie. The girls didn't know it yet, but they were not alone. As a few hours would go by, the father of Libby, Derek German, would show up, but the 2 girls were not at the meetup spot. Thinking that the 2 teens just lost track of time, he would end up calling Libby's phone. The phone was ringing, but no one was answering. He would begin searching for the 2 teens, but when running into other people, no one had seen them. Eventually, the authorities would be called out, and this would lead to a search party looking for the 2 girls. But sadly, there was no sign of them on that first night of the 13th. With the search being called off late that night for safety reasons, it would be resumed early that next day. They brought in helicopters, divers, and many other resources to scour the area. But just around noon that day, they would soon discover a grisly scene. Authorities would discover the two girls across the river and both had...
So, okay, so there's just a little recap. Oh, let me turn that back up. Little recap there. And like I said, so I've got a bunch of stuff to go over, but I'm going to answer a few questions. I'm assuming you're asking about the drones. Yeah, the drones, the professional ones can run anywhere from 1,000 to like 20,000. But the one we're kind of looking for is about like a $2,000 range. There's a brand, Mavic. They're highly used in drone searches. They're the ones that I've been taught on. I've used other brands as well. I mean, if you use one drone, you're going to be able to use a lot of them. But yeah, the Mavic drone, its capabilities, it's kind of a more high-end tier drone that's still not in like the $10,000 range, and still can go for many, many miles. The one I used last year, unfortunately, so sorry to get off track, but the one I used in Dylan Round's case, we had a Phantom 4. That's kind of equivalent to a Mavic drone. It's kind of, the higher end drone. Fortunately, that drone ended up breaking because we put it through a lot of work after the Dylan Round case, and actually broke part of the where the wings attached to it. Fortunately, it snapped because we were flying it in high winds and we shouldn't have been. Anyway, so, and then the drone that I used for Include last year, it wasn't a professional drone. It was still great to have, but it just can't go far distances, and it would have been really nice to have, because there's just places that are super hard to hike in there where he went missing. Anyway, so yeah, we're looking around a $2,000 range. So we're trying to range about $1,000 at the end of the month. So not just today, but maybe $100 or something like that per live or something like that, and that should get us to it. But anyway, sorry to ramble on. Henry Dog, good to see you. Another amazing supporter. Been a member for 14 months. It says, hello, everyone. Good to see you, Henry Dog. Hope you're doing well, being safe. Fur Baby Love, thank you so much for the $20 super sticker. You are so awesome. For a lot of you guys that have been with me know that this money will go to good hands, and you guys will be out there with us. If I can go live out there, we will. If not, I'll be bringing back tons of drone footage and stuff like that. Mary says, we are unemployed, so this is all I can afford. Sorry, Drone Fund. That's okay, Mary. Every little bit helps. I usually don't really ask for donations. If they come in, that's awesome. It's very rare that I ever ask for donations, as most of you have been with me. But again, like I said, this will go to very good cause. A little drone money from Anna. Can't make the search, unfortunately. Yes, or also, if people can make it out to the search as well. And we'll talk about that the closer we get to that date. Kelly with the $20 drone fund. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much, Kelly. You guys are awesome. I was not expecting this. You guys are so cool. June, drone fund. Thanks for everything, Chris. Mods and mobsters. Sorry. Thank you so much, June. And Jocelyn for the $5. Thank you so much, Jocelyn, and for your amazing mod support. I know you work and mod. That's so super amazing. And then Henry Dog, again, got a pinch in. Thank you so much, Henry Dog, for the $100 donation. I'm going to try to write a lot of these donations down and keep track of them so I can kind of do a thank you when we get the drone and stuff like that. So I got to kind of write this stuff down when I'm playing the video. So I'm going to play this video so I can start writing this stuff down. Thank you so much, everybody. Henry Dog, Jenny, all of you guys, so amazing. And a huge shout out to Phoebe. She donated PayPal, which sometimes I don't get the update. Like, I don't get a notification, and I don't see it almost until like the day after. Oh, that's a little loud. All right. So back to Delphi, and I'm going to start writing down names. But back to Delphi, here is stuff that's coming up, as well as some background information with the courts with Delphi.
We'll get you back to Michigan for more of the Crumbly case in just a bit, but some breaking news to pass along. An Indiana judge has just set a new trial date for Delphi murder suspect Richard Allen.
So crazy.
The case now set to go to trial beginning on May 13th of this year. He had been set to go to trial in October. It's being moved up because this man here, Richard Allen, has asked for a speedy trial, invoking his constitutional right set forth in the Sixth Amendment for a speedy trial. He said he wanted it, and the judge acquiesced and said yes. So he will be going to trial in May, starting the 13th. He, of course, is accused of murdering 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German back in 2017. We'll continue to update this story. There's a hearing coming up this week. Well, actually, I think next week, Monday, in this case, a pivotal one. Of course, there's this back and forth between the attorneys representing Richard Allen. Some allegations of contempt are going to be litigated, but the bottom line is, no matter who ends up representing him, he'll be going to trial because he's asked for it in May 13th, the new trial date. And we will cover it all for you right here on Court TV.
Okay, so one big question, will cameras be allowed? Because they have now, because Indiana was one of the last states, and we're going to play a video here in a minute, kind of showing Indiana and how they originally allowed cameras back in the day, and then for some reason decided to go against it. And then everybody else, all these other big trials going on. And then finally, I forget the guy's name. He was like, we need to, get on board with this. And, they finally, and that was last year, I think, they voted to now allow cameras back in the courtroom. It just depends on the judge. But as far as this, we don't have an answer yet. As far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, so far, it's been, they did bring it up, and I have a video for that. They did bring it up, and I think that was last year. And this was, because remember, the trial has been switched around a bunch of times. Originally, it was slated for January of this year, at the beginning of January. And then until the whole debacle with the crime scene leaks, and obviously letting go of the attorneys, who then just came back on. Just before that, they were discussing about the cameras for the trial. So I'm going to play this video.
Man charged in the Delphi murders wants his trial to be on TV, but the prosecutor does not. The Carroll County prosecutor filed a motion citing serious concerns, including the risk the case could turn into a circus atmosphere. Richard Allen faces 2 counts of murder for the February 2017 murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. His trial is set for January. Indiana first approved cameras in the courtroom statewide in May, and the defense argued allowing cameras will ensure fairness and boost the public's trust in the judicial system.
So originally it was
a big change
the defense team wanting cameras allowed, and then Nicholas McLeland, I don't know if he cited that he didn't want cameras. I don't know if they kind of maybe twisted to that a little bit. I think he cited listening concerns, but I don't think he officially said he didn't want them in, but just cited concerns. And I wish I could find that document. So we could kind of go over that. But anyway, here's a little bit of history on Indiana, which I found this video. It's like 5 minutes or maybe less. Very interesting, just the history of cameras in the courtroom in Indiana and how they used to do them, and then they got rid of them, and then they kind of did like test runs, test pilots as they call it, and then eventually now they're back into it. So let me grab a few of these. Azazen, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you so much. Drone Fun, thanks for all you do. Thank you so much. And being a member for over 6 months, you were so awesome. And Gil Hurd with the $5 donation. Drone, thank you so much, Gil. Appreciate all your support. Jennifer, now being a member, I can't see it right now, but I know you've been a member for nearly 2 years, if not more now. And June, such a cool community to hang out with. Thank you so much, June, for being a member for 6 months. Right on. And then Lily Polly helping me out with the euro. Drone Fund, $5. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I think we probably hit the quota for the day just with those. Thank you guys so much.
Next week, when the Indiana Supreme Court lifts a ban that restricts the use of cameras in the courtroom. Well, this week, we're taking a look at the impact with WRTV digital reporter Vic Reichart. And Vic, you know, this is a long time coming for the state.
Yeah, well, it sure is. Indiana has had a ban on courtroom cameras, near total ban, going back to the dawn of television. There have been very limited times that cameras have been allowed in Indiana courts. And with the help of digital producer Mike Hartz, we have found some of those times and have put them together for a package that we're going to show tonight.
Absolutely. Digging a little deeper, what was something, I guess, that stood out as you were, looking through the archives to kind of see how bad of, a hindrance this has been for so long?
Well, I mean, there have been so many hearings, so many courtroom trials that we would have liked to have had cameras in. I mean, the ones that leap to mind, Mike Tyson, boxer Mike Tyson, wouldn't it have been great to see what happened in that courtroom?
That's kind of wild. I didn't even think about Mike Tyson being in Indiana and his case being there.
But of course, they were banned. They weren't allowed. The only way you could get into court
that would have been huge.
Generally in the past 20, 30 years has been with special permission from the Indiana Supreme Court. Well, that all changes come Monday when any judge in the state can allow cameras in their courtroom.
All right. Well, let's take a look at some of the great work you've been putting in.
Yeah, this is very interesting.
Your headline story tonight: woman murder suspect found, still alive, with murder weapon in her possession. Now the exclusive film and that story.
Our cameras were rolling in 1958 when police found murder suspect Connie Nicholas in her car.
So 1958 they were filming. I mean, that's kind of wild. 1958.
Along Fall Creek after she had downed dozens of sleeping pills. Nicholas was charged with murder in the shooting death of Eli Lilly executive Forrest Teal. Marion County Criminal Court Judge Thomas J. Faulkner made national headlines in 1959 when he allowed cameras to film her murder trial.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Minnie B. Nicholas, alias Connie Nicholas, guilty of voluntary manslaughter.
The judge sentenced Nicholas to a term of 2 to 21 years. It was the most high-profile trial in the state for nearly 2 decades.
Give me a drink, pal. Give me a drink.
In 1977, Tony Karitzis kidnapped mortgage broker Dick Hall, holding him hostage for 63 hours. Much of it was broadcast live on television. When a verdict came down, Judge Michael T. Dugan allowed cameras to capture the moment Karitzis learned his fate.
I'm the defendant, Anthony G. Karitzis, not guilty by reason of...
And just a month later, our cameras were allowed inside another Marion County courtroom.
So you know nothing about it. You've read nothing and heard nothing. Okay.
Judge John B. Wilson allowed television cameras to witness the proceedings in the murder trial of Howard Willard. Willard was charged with killing Marjorie Jackson, the heiress of Standard Grocery, inside of her Spring Mill Road home.
It was such an unusual murder that it had
were inside Jackson's home. She had reportedly spent years withdrawing money from the bank and stashing it at her home. Eventually, word got around.
That was my first encounter with television in the courtroom.
Jim Voiles was one of Howard Willard's defense lawyers.
Channel 6 was one of the stations that I remember, and the reporter was a guy named Rick Salinger.
There are still many questions that remain unanswered in the Marjorie Jackson affair.
Judge Wilson made the decision to allow cameras to capture every aspect of the Willard trial.
I was trying to...
I'm just going to pause it there. I just wanted to thank... Just wanted to thank Rhonda and Heather for the PayPals. I did get those. Thank you so much. And if you're just tuning in, we're just going a little bit over the history of cameras allowed in the courtroom. Obviously, a big question with the trial coming up in 2 months is cameras going to be allowed? And as far as I know, that has not been voted on, or Judge Gull hasn't ruled on, I should say. It seems to be like day to day or week to week, whatever from hearing to hearing, I guess that would be a better way to phrase it. From hearing to hearing, and this upcoming hearing, there's not going to be any cameras. The obviously the last one when they, which was a short hearing, when they let go the attorneys, the defense attorneys, that was the last one, and that was televised. But I think they will do it. I think it's a good possibility, and I think they're going to do it in a different way, and we'll talk about that after I play this video. But this is, like I said, this is kind of interesting.
Improve the entire system for everybody.
While journalists supported the move, many others were not happy.
They were kind of disruptive in terms of the cameraman. Our Chief Justice, Richard Given, saw this on television and did not like it, and the next day issued an edict to 92 counties that there would not be a television camera in the courtroom. And that set the tone.
Justice Given closed the chapter on cameras in Indiana courtrooms, and it remained that way until a new Chief Justice took over in 1987.
I don't get the impression that what they've done in Kentucky has been burdensome or has resulted in a lower quality of justice.
Chief Justice Randall T. Shepard had a unique perspective on cameras in the courtroom, thanks to televised court proceedings in neighboring Kentucky. Shepard pushed for testing courtroom cameras in Indiana.
I would like to see something more scientific. I'd like to have a feeling that I'd gone through something of a more formal self-education from the practitioner's point of view.
The Indiana Supreme Court held its first courtroom camera test in Evansville in 1996.
All right.
But a decade would pass before Indiana would see an official pilot program.
State, ready to go?
In 2006, the Indiana Supreme Court decided to do a pilot project for 1 year and a half.
Dan Byron began working as general counsel for the Indiana Broadcasters Association in the mid-90s. His goal was getting cameras into the courtrooms. Byron says the pilot program was a major step forward, but there was a catch.
They required all parties to any litigation that might be filmed to agree in writing to the request. We could never get a case where all the parties would agree to that. We had no jury trials. We had one court trial, and we had 6 proceedings in a year and a half. So the prohibition continued.
That isn't.
So it sounded like it wasn't going good. They were trying to do a few things, and of course trying to get signatures. And if everybody signed, then they could allow cameras. But it didn't seem like everybody was for that.
Until a second pilot program began in 2021, allowing cameras in 5 state courts.
And this is kind of wild. Look who it is. It's Judge Gull.
By then, Indiana was among the last states still banning courtroom cameras.
Some amazing work there.
Thank you.
Well, we'll have more stories about cameras in the courtroom, but Vic, what's next?
So we're going to have another story on a courtroom sketch artist who's talking about.
Okay, so I'm going to skip that forward. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. And so one of the things is I think there's a good possibility that they will allow cameras. One of the things that they've been doing, at least with the ones that they have allowed, regards to Delphi, is that there is I think there's like a 30-minute delay with the hearings that were broadcasted, but they weren't live. We'd get them 30 minutes. So usually, if it was like a quick hearing, then obviously we would get it 30 minutes later, which I'm not opposed of, and I think that's a great idea because we think of the Letitia Stout case. Again, it's Stout case, where they accidentally showed some, pictures, autopsy things that the public should not see. If they have a delay, then they can, obviously, if there's any issues, they can obviously censor those. So I think if they continue doing what they had been doing and doing these 30-minute delays, I think that could work. I'm assuming. I don't know, but I would think that shouldn't be a problem, because and I know with Alex Murdaugh, I think it was the Murdaugh case, they accidentally showed the jurors once. I think, was it the Murdaugh case? I think one time they showed the jurors accidentally kind of walking out. So yeah, if you have a delay on it, then you would think then they can prepare for any issues, any accidents that may happen with the camera. So moving on. Now we're going to talk about the attorneys that are on both sides here. I don't know why this doesn't have volume. Oh, that's right. Okay, so we have Nicholas McLeland, who is the obviously the main prosecutor. A little bit about his background. He was, it says, admitted to the Indiana Roll Call of Attorneys in May 8th of 2009. Is licensed to practice law in the state of Indiana. Is active in all good standing. He has no history of disciplinary action prior to July 1st, 2011. He went to the University of Toledo School of Law, Indiana University from 98 to 2002, Delphi Community High School, 98 graduate. And this has got the wrong date. It says January 1st, 2019, but it's actually 2018. He was chosen to replace Robert Ives, who I'm sure many are familiar with. He was the former prosecutor. I think his term ran out, and then 2018 McLeland took over. His experience, he's been an attorney for Deer Creek Township. He was a public defender for the Carroll, White, and Clinton counties, acting attorney, Carroll County Commissioners, public defender in Tippecanoe County, and before that he worked as a private attorney. And one thing I think a lot of people have misstated is he has worked on murder cases. Unfortunately, I could not find those cases. I've seen them, and unfortunately, I didn't snag those the other day when I saw them. But he has worked on some murder cases before. He has won cases, and he is the other one. He has not worked on a death penalty case. So that's where this guy comes in. This is his co-counsel, who we kind of saw the last time we got to have like a semi-live hearing. That's when obviously the defense was forced to let go, forced to withdraw. We saw this guy sitting next to Nicholas McLeland. This is Jim Luttrell Jr. Hopefully I didn't butcher his name. He's got a lot of experience. I kind of feel like he's going to be even though I think he's co-counsel, he's going to be huge for the prosecution and for the experience. So he worked for the Department of Child Services as a deputy general counsel. He's a former prosecutor and criminal justice professor. And a little bit about his years. I'm going to go down here. I think he's going to be viewed as kind of like the mentor to Nicholas for the trial. And Luttrell is a seasoned trial lawyer with 35 years experience, most recently as Grant County prosecutor, a position he has held since 2003. It's a long time. And that's 21 years. He formerly served in the same office as deputy prosecutor and chief deputy prosecutor since returning to Marion in 1983. That's the year I was born. Much of his work focused on the prosecution of child harm and the training and mentoring of prosecutors, child protection workers, and law enforcement officials who respond to child harm cases. Gotta be careful with how I phrase that. So that's a little bit of background on the prosecution side. And then, of course, we'll talk about Baldwin and Rosie. Let me get to chat here because we got a couple more in here. Let's see here. Helen Townley, Drone Fund Foundation. Thank you so much for the $10 euro. You are so awesome, Helen. I'm going to write your name now. Write your name down. And then Lily Polly, supporting the channel by becoming a member. That is so awesome. Thank you so much, Lily Polly. We do so much stuff with the members. And especially when we go out and work on cases, I have so much extra footage, drone footage. And not even drone footage, but just footage because I'm always filming whenever I can. So there's always tons of stuff for the members when we get back from a trip. So here is
now, and the lawyers representing
a little bit of history on these two attorneys
Richard Allen
for that are obviously representing Richard Allen,
the suspect in the Delphi murders.
So after learning this week that the court appointed 2 lawyers for his defense, IT mates Richard Essex started looking into the cases Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rosie have handled.
Both men will be paid by Carroll County. Carroll County will split the cost of Allen's defense with the state, with the county picking up the lion's share of the expenses. Baldwin comes into this case as the lead attorney, and you will recognize some of his Indianapolis area clients.
Andrew Baldwin is representing 16-year-old Caden Smith, who was charged last year as an adult for triple murder. Wish TV brought you this story as breaking news when the bodies of 3 men were found alongside a walking path near the 4400 block of South Meridian. Smith was arrested in December. His lawyer, Andrew Baldwin, convinced the judge that some of the evidence was collected with an invalid search warrant. The judge released Smith from jail with a GPS monitor. The state is appealing the judge's decision. A status hearing for this case is set for early next year. Baldwin is also representing
That's pretty good. So it sounds like he's got his client out on a GPS. Clearly Baldwin. Seems like Baldwin's got a little bit more experience than Rosie. Maybe that's just due because a little bit older, so he's had more time. Although Rosie is the lead counsel.
Small, who is sitting in the Brown County Jail charged with murder. According to court records, Small is accused of shooting a neighbor over the placement of a mailbox. The case is scheduled for a jury trial in January. Michael Wayne Hubbard is charged with murder and arson resulting in serious bodily injury. The probable cause for the case was originally sealed by the court but released to the public the next day. Hubbard is accused of throwing gasoline on an acquaintance and lighting him on fire.
Jeez.
A hearing in that case is scheduled for Friday in Jennings County. Baldwin is the lead defense attorney in this case. The court assigned Bradley Rosie to Allen's case earlier this week. According to his bio, prior to law school, he worked in Marion County as a private investigator and correctional officer. According to files that we have found, Rosie's law practice is broad, with cases ranging from driving under the influence, domestic battery, rape, drug possession, and mortgage foreclosure. He has also handled a number of violent, serious felony cases. Most of his legal practice is in Cass, Tippecanoe, and Howard County.
On Tuesday, the special judge assigned to this case will hold a hearing on whether to release the probable cause to the public. Both of the attorneys assigned to Allen have indicated they will be at that hearing.
That last part, obviously, that's old. But just get a little background on, obviously, the main players, regarding the prosecution and defense. Now, upcoming hearings, which we had a couple people asking about. Yes, we've got one a week from today. We're going to talk about that. And we'll talk a little bit about the evidence and a little bit of a few other things as well. So, yeah, next hearing, March 18th. This is basically the defendant's list of witnesses and exhibits for contempt hearing. And we'll kind of go more into that. So this is the... Oops. And this one's kind of wild. And a little bit kind of a waste of the court's time in my opinion. But so a list of additional witnesses and exhibits for the defense. So they need to kind of see what else do they have. Comes now counsel for attorneys Baldwin and Rosie notifies the state and the court that in addition to all witnesses and exhibits previously disclosed, he may call the following witnesses and offer the described exhibits. Witness Stephen Wood, Angela Sedlowski, I probably butchered that. My apologies. Julie Melvin, we've heard of her. Terry Williams, Courtney Parsons, and Matt Hoffman. Exhibit 1, communications between Gary Boudet, I hope I pronounced that right, a.k.a. Fig Solves. Communications between Gary and the prosecutor, Nick McLeland. Anthony Greeno's YouTube episode titled Crime Nation, Delphi Murders, Watch and Review. Rick Snay on True Crimes Investigates, which I think True Crimes Investigates is Anthony Greeno's show. Baldwin emailed to McLeland, which in this is Gary's communications with Angela. Gary's YouTube episode, Delphi Investigation. Gary's... Oh, did that jump over? Sorry, I should have slowed that down a little bit. Okay, yeah, where do we leave off at? Gary sending information to McLeland, which is a lot of... Half of this is Gary. Fix Solves. He's in about 80% of this. And then we have Frank Meister, the Inquisitor, True Crime, and the Frank Meister in the Sleuth video, which I don't know if that's like Sleuth Intuition. I'm not sure. Anyway, a lot of this stuff is possible communications with either Gary and the prosecutor, supposedly giving stuff that he knew from the defense that he got somehow that was leaked from the defense that he's giving to the prosecutor or something like that, somewhere around in there. And then we have Gary discussing his knowledge of the bullet at the crime scene before that information was actually unsealed to the public. So yeah, that's could be a no-no there, because you should know that when that's still under seal. Email exchange between Judge Gold and Attorney Rosie accidentally misdirected. Julie Melvin's documents, a YouTube video entitled A Reckoning in Carroll County. And then the last little bit here, which it's not funny, but it is just I don't know, somewhere on February 29th or March 1st, so about 10 days ago, the defense received an anonymous call from a woman in Texas claiming she had 240 pages of leaked documents and agreed to provide them. So far, they only received a few of those documents, all of which appear to be available to the public. So this lady claimed that she had all these 240 pages of leaked documents, and they're documents that anybody can get a hold of. Then the defense also got some information from the proof. I don't know if that's short for the professional or the professor, claiming that he delivered. This guy doesn't like to count pages. He likes to weigh his documents. He supposedly delivered 2 pounds of documents to the Indiana Attorney General. some of this stuff is a circus. This is why I'm so glad the trial is coming in this
Tonight,
stuff.
yet another twist report.
So this they'll explain a little bit more in this, but yeah, a lot of YouTuber stuff. I feel, yeah, it's kind of a waste of time.
Delphi murders case.
I know,
We are now
there
getting
could
a
be some
preview
serious
of the
stuff in there,
evidence
though.
that Richard Allen's attorneys plan to present to defend themselves against contempt charges by the prosecutor.
Well, the hearing is now 10 days away.
Rich and I back live in studio tonight with a defense exhibit list that focuses on communication between the prosecutor and also crime podcasters. Rich?
Right, so we need to set up some background here before we get into tonight's story. Remember, the Indiana Supreme Court put Richard Allen's public defenders back on the case, but they still face a hearing March 18th on whether they should be held in contempt of court. Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McLeland argues that defense attorneys Bradley Rosie and Andrew Baldwin should be held in contempt of court for what he calls a trend of not being completely honest with the court. The prosecutor says the attorneys violated the gag order in the case by issuing a press release December 1st, 2022, proclaiming Allen's innocence. McLeland also points to information, including crime scene photos, leaked to the public through Baldwin's office. Attorney David Hennessy is representing Rosie and Baldwin against the contempt charges. Hennessy has filed a list of 26 exhibits for the March 18th hearing. That includes communication between the prosecutor and a YouTube crime podcaster named Gary Bodette, shown here on his Fig Solve show. The evidence includes Bodette allegedly sending defense work product to the prosecutor, Bodette revealing investigation information on his YouTube show that was not yet public, and an email where McLeland allegedly asked Bodette to delete everything. Several other YouTube...
Now, I think that where he says, delete everything, I think that's when the crime scene photos were getting around to some of the YouTubers. And obviously, since he was talking with McLeland before that, I think maybe announced that he had them. And then to delete everything, I think that refers to the crime scene photos.
YouTube crime podcast are listed as evidence, including Frank Meister, Anthony Greeno's Crime Nation, and the Inquisitor True Crime. Court TV producer Barbara McDonald's reporting of alleged leaked investigation information is also listed in the exhibits.
Now, I think with this, because I did listen to, and I know not everybody, I know a lot of people are not fans of Murder Sheet, but I had to listen to theirs because obviously they do have some stuff, and they believe with Barbara McDonald. Because obviously, during the anniversaries, we would always look forward to Barbara McDonald, giving us another little tidbit. We got a couple of years ago, kind of the last really big one, since the unsealed documents, really, and the probable cause and the arrest of Richard Allen. So obviously, before the arrest of Richard Allen, which is, I think, was the 4-year anniversary, was we got the 43 seconds, and the fact that the video started at 2:13, which isn't much, but at that time, anything is something to talk about at that time. But anyway, long story short, I believe she's learned a lot of stuff. She's obviously she's talking with the investigators and stuff, and detectives and whatnot, and before they put a gag order out, she knew a lot of information. So the stuff that she shared, she found out before the gag order. So I don't think there's anything that's going to come up with Barbara McDonald doing anything wrong. Hope 8 Fear gifted 1 Mob Crew membership. Thank you so much, Hope. And it looks like Karen Lee, who is well deserving of that membership. Karen has done an amazing job. She's very helps me with the missing all the time. Huge advocate for the missing, so that's awesome.
And this YouTube video called The Reckoning in Carroll County might also be shown in court.
I was a little surprised.
All this seems to indicate the defense wants to put the focus of the contempt hearing in Allen County on the prosecutor's actions. The defense also says it received an anonymous call from a woman in Texas just last week claiming to have about 240 pages of leaked documents and agreed to provide them. But the defense says they've only received a few of those so far. So the defense has asked for an extension of the deadline to provide discovery until next 30, discovery just for this March 18th contempt hearing.
So we're waiting to hear a ruling on that.
Correct.
All right.
Normally we say, oh, all these twists and turns, but we continue to say that because there are all these twists and turns.
Yeah, and at 6 o'clock, that motion we talked about yesterday, now the prosecutor has filed to take away his motion, and I'll explain that at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you,
Lots
Rich.
of legal twists and turns. All right. Well, Richard Allen is the man that we're talking about here. He's the one who's charged in the deaths of those two young girls, Abby Williams and Libby German. They went together on a hike near the Monon High Bridge trail that was in Delphi back in February of 2017. We've been following the case ever since then. Both girls were reported missing. The family made the discovery of their bodies the very next day.
So I wanted to play this little video because this put out a little bit a while ago, but it's kind of one of the last times we saw the family interviewed, at least the grandparents. But let me read this. CJK was truly disturbing as the three-man Mitch, MW. Okay, know him, the guy that leaked the photos from the office. BH, I can't think of BH. I want to say Brad, but that's not the right one. Then one of those guys gave info to the lady in Texas. Oh, interesting. Huh. And I'm assuming that maybe the same lady that supposedly has 240 pages, or maybe another lady in Texas. I don't know. But yeah.
We've been staying on top of any changes in the Delphi murders case. We know it can get long and seem convoluted.
So, another thing that was filed recently, along with just a bunch of things going on, was the request for mental health records from the prosecution. They wanted to get mental health records for Richard Allen. And not being a lawyer, knowing the law on that side very well, to me, that seems reasonable because obviously the defense is going to go with, because obviously one of their big things is Allen's confessions and, supposedly his mental health. He was not in the right state of mind when he made these, admissions of guilt. So they want to get to his mental health records. But anyway, apparently he's withdrawn from that, and I think that happened either yesterday or today as well. So it has since been withdrawn by the prosecutor. But this is very interesting. This kind of talks about the his confession, and there has been some possible further developments. So I'm going to read this. This is so the probable cause affidavit has been kind of altered in many different ways, especially when the unsealed documents flooded out. We got like tons of different versions. They were more or less the same, but there would be like little pieces that were either added on or slightly changed inside. Anyway, so I'm going to read this, and notice this has changed since the new one they put out. So it says, investigators believe the information that Westville Correctional Facility has gathered since Richard Allen was placed in that facility is important to the investigation. Investigators believe that there is video evidence that will include his admissions, plus his prior behavior to the admission and directly after, which I think is very huge. Yeah, what was his mental health? Was his mental health fine before that? He made the admission and then he went off the deep end? Or was something wrong before his admissions? And, that would then more benefit the defense. Investigators also believe logs kept of his daily routines are important to determine when he was in a cell and when he was removed and the reasons he was removed. Further, any records of physical exams and medical exams will be important to determine the state of his mental and physical health. This information is needed to refute the allegations made by the defense emergency motion. This evidence is also necessary to refute the allegations of diminished mental capacity. It is also important that the state introduces additional evidence gathered, including admissions made by Richard Allen himself. Now notice it says including admissions made by Richard Allen. Well, since their request, this portion has changed. And now this is it's changed to this. Investigators believe the information that Westville Correctional Facility and Wabash Valley Correctional Facility, remember the original one didn't mention Wabash because at that time he had not been transferred to Wabash, have gathered since Richard Allen was placed in those facilities is important to the investigation and important for the trial. Further, any records of his mental exams will be important to determine the state of his mental health when he made the admissions. This information is needed to refute the defense allegations as mental health is in question. The evidence is also necessary to refute the allegations of diminished mental health capacity. More or less the same, but this is where it's different. It may also be important as the state introduces additional evidence gathered, including additional admissions made by Richard Allen himself, basically claiming since his original confessions on April 3rd, 2023, he has allegedly, according to this, have made more admissions. We don't obviously know the context, but according to this, they're saying there are additional admissions since his April 3rd confessions. So, I mean, that's pretty big, if true. And obviously we'll find out when trial starts, but I think that's huge. So moving on to the next thing. So this is wild. So just to kind of sit back and just absorb this all. Abby and Libby were murdered over 7 years ago. 7 years ago, they have been waiting for justice. If Richard Allen is not the right guy, if they have gotten the wrong guy, that means, and he's acquitted for whatever reason because he's the wrong guy. If they have the wrong guy, it may not be until decades, or if not more, many decades until they get another trial or another person of interest, or may never get justice. So I'm really praying they have the right guy and this is it, because if this falls through, then they'd have to get another person, the real killer, and then they'd have to build a whole new, couple of years of trial, and it'd be a mess. But I just wanted to play this because I can remember when I first saw this video, I was in my apartment, actually, which was like across the street from where I live now. It's kind of like apartment row. But it was back in 2017, and I remember, because remember, if you guys were, it was called the Snapchat murders at the beginning. That's kind of what it was labeled as, the Snapchat murders. And I don't think the video was out at that time. Eventually it would come out, but just seeing the photo, man, it was wild to think that we have come from this video not knowing nothing really, to where we are now. And so I just wanted to play this just for kind of just to realize we are 2 months away from getting answers, finally. Yes, this would be a massive failure. I don't think this is... This is such a high-profile case. I mean, there's people that have built their careers off of it. Obviously, YouTube channels. And it's just crazy to think.
Walk at the Monon High Bridge Trail in Delphi.
Anyway, I just wanted to play this video because, like, again, it's about the victims, Abby and Libby, and I just wanted to play this video. It's just, I think it's like a minute 2 clip here.
Indiana, and were never seen alive again.
They got out of my car. I made sure they both had sweatshirts. I told them goodbye. I told Libby I loved her. They walked out, and that was the last time I saw them.
They never showed up to be picked up, and the next day, February 14, 2017, search volunteers found the girls' bodies in the woods. The mystery of the so-called Delphi murders was a big story across the country, and investigators revealed very few clues, including possible suspect sketches and parts of a recording found on Libby's cell phone. Nearly 6 years had passed with no real leads. Then, in October of 2022, a break in the case, an arrest.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder is sure a major step in leading to the conclusion of this long-term and complex investigation.
Police revealed their suspect had been living in plain sight all along. Richard Allen was a local husband and father, working as a farm tech in the town's CVS.
Now we have a person charged with it, right? We have a face, we have a name.
What would you say to Libby after he finally got this guy behind bars?
Oh, I believe that she helped lead them.
I'm sure most of you guys probably know this, but every day they would tweet out, "Today is the day." For what? 5 years? Today is the day, tweeting that out, praying that they would get answers. Oh, man, and I'll never forget. Of course, I was out looking for Dylan Rounds when they arrested Richard Allen. Luckily, I was finishing up. But yeah, oh my gosh. And Jennifer, my mom, was the one that called me. I was on the road, and I think I got a bunch of calls and messages from her telling me that there's arrest in Delphi. It's just so wild, all these memories, and I can remember some of these when learning where I was at.
I believe that she was steering all along, and I believe she's up there quite excited.
According to the probable cause affidavit, Allen placed himself on the trail when interviewed by police in 2017 and admitted to seeing the girls there. Police say an unspent round found near the girls' bodies went through a gun that belonged to Allen. And a witness allegedly placed a man who looked like Allen walking near the trail wearing muddy and bloody clothes.
It's scary just knowing that he was so close, and we had no idea.
Richard Allen has pleaded not guilty and denies any involvement in the murders of Libby and Abby.
So I thought we'd go over a little bit of the evidence against Richard Allen. We're just going to go on 3 things here, just to kind of go over. But yeah, Jennifer was calling me up a storm. I'm sure there was probably somebody else, but I know Jennifer was the one. She was the one that broke the news to me. A lot was going on. I was looking doing rounds. I was kind of worn out because we were out in the desert. I'd been out there for, I think, like 4 or 5 days at that point. So I was a little, I was kind of ready to come home. And that just happened to come, the news came just a day before I came home. Or I think the day I was planning to come home, I think. But yeah, that was wild. Sirius Black, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. No worries. Sirius Black being a member for 1 month now. So grateful for the Mob Crew family. Thank you so much, Sirius Black. That is so awesome. So let's just look a little bit at the evidence. Let me look at the, I haven't even looked at the poll for a minute. So obviously we got 281 votes. Do you believe Richard Allen is the main suspect / bridge guy in Delphi case? We've got 58% say yes, 17% say no, and 25% not sure, undecided. And respect that. I know there's still a lot of people that want to see the evidence, because there's going to be much more than what the public knows. But I did want to go over, in my opinion, the 3 big ones, and we got a couple more things to go over, and I think that's about it. We've started at 5, yeah. But obviously, the first one, admission of being there. Richard Allen came forward claiming he was there that day on February 13, 2017. Him himself came forward. He met a guy, a conservation officer. Don't know the exact date. I've seen it rumored February 15th. So 2 days after, it'd be 1 day after they found the bodies. He claims he saw 3 young girls near the Freedom Bridge. It just so happens that there was 4 juvenile witnesses there at the Freedom Bridge at the same time. Now, he says he saw 3. There was 4 there. I'm assuming, maybe he just, because they're grouped together, he may not have seen all 4 of them. Or maybe one of the girls had wandered off somewhere, and so he did just pass by 3 out of the 4. Of course, claims to have been wearing blue jeans. Blue jeans, obviously, that's not big. Everybody wears jeans, and of course, most jeans are blue. But the Carhartt jacket, I think that's big. Everybody suspected that was some kind of Carhartt jacket that the bridge guy was wearing. And he also claims he had something covering his face, which also collaborates with what those juvenile witnesses saw. And he had a hoodie underneath, which is also what the witnesses. So they both collaborate. They both cohesive. His statement and their statements, they're cohesive. So it's about bridge guy. Oh, sorry. Richard Allen claims he went to platform 1 and then would return. Another witness, Betsy Blair, came up to the bridge and saw a man standing on platform 1. There's 6 platforms. So not platform 2, not platform 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. He claims he's on platform 1, and a witness who also sees a man on platform 1. Richard Allen also claimed that he said the old Farm Bureau building, but we know what he was meant to say because he said abandoned. The CPS building. He claimed he parked at the CPS building, even though he worded it differently because I don't think he realized it was a CPS building. Law enforcement were looking for a person of interest that parked at the old CPS building. Recently, he changed his timeline of arrival from 1:30 to, I think, now noon to 1:30. Yet his car was captured on video heading west at 1:27. If it was heading east, then you would have a fairly good argument because heading west means you're arriving. Heading east would make it look like you're going away. So, just that there, you could pick that apart a million ways, which we kind of have. But here's just, again, we're not going to go over the huge timeline that I built, but this is just the part where he walks by them in their statements in the form. But, again, he claims he saw these juvenile witnesses not on the trail, not walking up, but at the Freedom Bridge right here. Which lines up with the girls. Now, I'm sure it's quite possible that there could have been other girls there earlier that day, but what's the chances there's a group of 3 of them or 4 that were there earlier? on that bridge around the time he was. So he would have passed by them at about 1:38. And he even described some of them, saying one was taller than the other, one had dark hair. He says one was taller, one had brown or black hair. So, I mean, he even gave some descriptions. And I know that the one has brown hair. Some of these other witnesses I haven't seen. But it's not going to surprise me if they had black hair at the time. So, just a lot there. And then the other big thing is he said that he did not speak to these guys. This is his statement. He did not speak with them. And this corresponds with them. They said, well, this guy just walked past us, and one of them mentioned hi, and he didn't say anything. So, again, you just have so many things that just glue together from two different things here. That just his statement alone, I think, is just huge. And then again, the walking out to platform 1 and Betsy Blair arriving. And yeah, so we've gone over that, but just another thing. And he's watching fish, and he's watching the stock ticker on his phone, and then walks back. So, and then the second one, the bullet, an unspent bullet, was found at the crime scene between the two girls' bodies. Upon search of Allen's home, they found a 6 Sawyer, I know I always butcher that name, near the nightstand in a wooden box. This gun was tested. They cycled a bullet because obviously the bullet was an unspent bullet, so it wasn't fired. But when you eject a bullet, there's what's called an extractor, and this leaves grooves on the bullet. And so I'm assuming what they did is they took his gun, they put a bullet in it. I'm assuming the same kind of caliber, 9mm, I'm assuming, and then cycled it and extracted it out, and then checked the groove marks to the test bullet to the bullet they recovered at the crime scene, and they say it more or less matched the extractor marks. So, so there's the bullet. There's Sherry Luck. Yeah, there's a lot of the body. I can tell you this because I just watched a program on that because there was a lot of confusion and I think some misinformation out there. The crime scene was still intact when they recovered that bullet. Just unfortunately, I think they didn't record the information as best as they could have. Filming, retrieving the bullet out, taking pictures. I mean, they took some pictures, but from what I understand, the crime scene was still intact. It wasn't like the bullet was found days later. It just wasn't found originally because it was kind of buried down below, and yeah, it was hidden. So, but yes, the crime scene was still intact, and they were able to recover that bullet. Then we have this video. Obviously, I just wanted to play this because this is another thing that is going to be wild to think about, that we've only seen the 1 second clip, the 48, what is it? 48 frames? I think it's more than that. Anyway, we have this 1 second clip that we've seen forever. But we know there's 42 more seconds on this with some communication back and forth. Sadly, it's going to be very disturbing to hear because obviously the reason why this is only a second is he is literally about to brandish this gun. And that's why it's only 1 second. And while he brandishes it, he cycles the gun. So he probably put the round in the chamber. And then at some point later on, he would do that again and then probably forgot that he had cycled it up here. And that's why that bullet got ejected out. Or there could have been a struggle. I mean, there's many possibilities. But the bullet was found between the two girls. But yeah, it'll be interesting to... I mean, there's just so many things that be nice to know, learn more about. And then the other one... can you please give us your thoughts on the evidence from the motorcycle cover and you think it could be significant? Sirius Black, we did kind of cover that. It's been a while since we talked about the motorcycle cover, but we did. I did a couple of shows on that. If I get a chance to, I'll address it. It kind of came from somebody in the chat saying that, and I can't say this because we try to stick with the facts. Someone said in chat that they believed that on that motorcycle cover was motorcycle tire tracks. Although obviously I can't confirm that. And although this person is in our chat a lot, and I personally don't know her, but it's quite possible. I mean, it does make me wonder, why would they take a motorcycle cover? So there'd have to be more to that cover. And that would make sense, some kind of tire tracks or something on it. But, yeah. And that would connect to the whole supposedly tire tracks being found at one of the houses nearby where the girls, if they had a chance to run off the nearby property, they would have went to. But the third one, multiple confessions. On April 3rd, 2023, Allen allegedly confessed several times during phone calls to his not only wife, but to his mother. And the way they word this sounds like this wasn't just a phone call where he had his mother and wife on the phone at the same time. It sounds like this was like he called up his wife, or his wife called. Who knows who called who. And actually it says Allen made the phone call to his wife, Kathy Allen. So it was like he's called his wife. But who knows if it was just going to be a regular conversation, or did he kind of break, or did she ask him and then he told her. And what would be interesting to know is, obviously would be huge, is did he share any information not known to the public? And if so, then I would say, his goose is cooked. But yeah, so we have him calling his wife and then his mother. They say that he confessed, committed to the offenses that is charged no less than 5 times, talking to his wife and his mother on public jail phones being plural. So I would assume these phone calls are separate from one another. And then not only that, what we talked about earlier, that apparently, since he's moved to Wabash, it appears that he has made more admissions. Now, we don't know the context of those, but yeah, still, there's still could be more to this. And I think just depending on the context of those 3 are huge, and there could be more. I mean, there's the cat hair that was supposedly found on one of the victims. Now, from what I understand, cat hair is a little bit tricky to forensically dissect, because usually cat hair sheds and you don't get the root. So you can have cat hair on you, but you don't actually, the hair is not, it doesn't have like the root, and the root is really important because obviously that's coming from the body, and it's It's got a lot of what I assume DNA in it. But they did say that there has been advancements in the pet hair, and there has been crimes solved from cat hair, tracing back to the criminal. Cat hair found at the crime scene and tracing back to the cat's owner. And of course, we know that they dug up what we heard. I think this is still more slightly rumor, but I think it's true because it's been mentioned on some big channels that they dug up. I know that they had dug up something because that was mentioned. And the assumption is that they dug up the family cat. Paul Anchor, if his confessions were not given under pressure, yeah. And yes, I know there's false confessions, but usually false confessions come when you're getting interrogated. He wasn't being interrogated. Now, yeah, he still could have had a mental breakdown, or was on medication, and was rambling on. But I don't know. I mean, to his mother and his wife, I think that's very damning, in my opinion.
Information is being released today.
And now I just wanted to, I'm going to get to chat while I just play this. I think this will go down, and let me know what you guys think in chat. I love Doug Carter, and I think this will go down as one of the most memorable press conferences to ever go down. Just the passion in Doug Carter, and the words he says gives me goosebumps. And the fact that this was in 2019, 5 years ago now, almost to the date, because I think it was April. So almost exactly 5 years. And man, I remember watching this and just hoping that with that new information, that he would have been caught soon, but that didn't happen. But anyway, I'm going to play a little bit of this real quick.
It's the result of literally thousands and thousands of hours of extraordinary investigative efforts by Delphi, Carroll County, the FBI, the Indiana State Police, and countless other agencies. This community surrounded us some 26 months ago. And you did everything you could to support us, but most importantly, you surrounded the family of these two little girls. Gosh, I'll never forget it. After you hear what we're going to release today, I'm going to ask for your continued support.
That's a great question, but I'll be honest. I wonder if there'll be voice analysis compared to his phone call confessions and the rest of video voice on Libby's phone. I think there's not enough on Libby's phone, although there could be more words said. I mean, there was rumors that, coming from, what's his face? I can't even forget the name. The person that supposedly, had information. Somebody's going to name it in chat. Leaker claimed, one of the claims from Leaker was that in that video, he talks about the girls were trespassing. Which, in a way, does make sense. Because when you get to the end of that bridge, you are technically hit with the trespassing sign. Because there's private property right there. And it is really, even though it's not a dead end, but since there's private property, the only way to get back from where you came is go across the bridge. Or cross the creek and, hike. But you don't want to do that. So, but man, it makes me wonder if there is more from that. But I don't know. That would be really hard to, because the phone is most likely in the pocket. Yeah, I think it'd be really hard to really get a legit voice analysis from those few words, unless there are more.
Continued understanding, your empathy and compassion as we move forward to find out who did this, and we will. We're seeking the public's help to identify the driver of a vehicle that was parked at the old CPS DCS welfare building in the city of Delphi that was abandoned on the east side of County Road 300 North next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway between the hours of noon to 5 on February 14th, 2017. If you were parked there or know who was parked there, please contact the officers at the command post at the Delphi City Building. We are releasing additional portions of the audio recording
6:30. Oh, wow.
from that day. Please keep in mind.
All right, I
see
just
the
want to play this
video
one part.
in your age range of 18 and 2 children. Only a coward would do
I just
for
gotta play
someone
this part.
close to you. We know that this is about power to you. And you want to know what we know. And one day, you will.
Oof. 2 months from now, hopefully we get the answers and they got the right guy and these poor girls get justice. That's what I'm praying for. But man, what a long time coming. Holy cow. I can't believe it's already been an hour and a half. I didn't think I had enough for everything. But if you came in late, we kind of recapped some stuff. I kind of wanted to go over the lawyers' backgrounds and what they've done. And then the cameras, talking about the cameras, because obviously that's going to be a big question. Because I had told somebody, the court or trial date was going to be this May 13th. And they asked me, is the camera's going to be allowed? And I was like, oh, shoot. And I first told them yes, but then I'm like, no. They did say that they're now allowing cameras in the courtroom, but it all depends on the judge. It's from judge to judge. Now, we've had multiple hearings, and we've had 2 hearings I think we've had, where we've had cameras in the courtroom. Or is it just 1? 2 or 1. But they were delayed, which I thought was a great idea. And I think, if they had any concerns, and I know some of the concerns that they brought up, especially on the prosecution, is they accidentally showing a witness, or they might actually show a piece of evidence that's sensitive, or the girls, obviously, anything with the girls' autopsies or crime scene photos. And so if they have this 30-minute delay like they did with what they've done before, I think would be a great idea. I think that would be perfect. Because then if they, just like I said, Gannon Stout case, where they accidentally showed some stuff with the autopsy, you wouldn't have that issue because, you're 30 minutes behind and they can snip that stuff out. Just like radio hosts, they're on a delay. That way, if anybody comes on their live show and curses, they can quickly go in and get the bleep going. And so I think it'd be just kind of the same thing. So, but from right now, we do not know if there's going to be cameras allowed in the courtroom, which is kind of wild because it's only 2 months out. So I think March 18th, we've got the next hearing, which, I don't know, to me it seems like, I don't know. I'm not going to speak on it. It's just kind of wild. We got a lot of YouTubers brought in. And then I think there's another date that's going to be set. I'm assuming we're going to probably see quite a few hearings leading up to the trial. So I think it's going to just ramp up from here. And it's wild. So isn't that right before Mother's Day? It is. And May 10th is my birthday. I have to, yeah. Anyway, I was like, oh my God, that's the perfect birthday gift. Just because it's a case that I've been so heavily invested in. And, yeah. So, and I've always wanted to know, what happened. And do they have the right guy? I believe they do. Retrial is double jeopardy. Technically, yes. Unless they get something on the... Oh, gosh. And this is kind of going out of my wheelhouse. If I recall, on the federal level or something like that. I know there is double jeopardy, but there's also like some other ways around that they can't actually try a person a second time. And then there's multiple people that have had that. And of course, I can't think of examples, but I had some on the top of my head, but I can't think of them. Peggy, thank you so much. Good show as always. Again, one more time, I just want to shout out everybody. For those that might have missed earlier, I kind of had this up. So we are going to be, we not only cover true crime. Oops, that's the wrong one. Where are we at? There it is. Not only we cover true crime, but we do like to give back by going out and help search for the missing. And Aiden Clune, they're doing a 2-day thing in Nevada searching for Aiden Clune. He was 19 when he went missing. A handsome boy. Met his mother, went out there and searched with his mother. His family's so amazing, sweet. Couldn't say enough good things about him. Anyone would be lucky to have them as for a family. Sadly, this poor kid just went through some tough things and kind of had some kind of mental breakdown and wandered off into the mountain range in the middle of nowhere. And so we are going to go out there, but I need a new drone because right now I don't have a drone. And so yeah, so we did amazing today, trying to get at least $100 per show so we can get a $2,000 drone, which is kind of on the professional grade, and that's going to help out a lot. Fluffy Cookie, I saw yours earlier. Hi, Chris. I suspect the state will put witnesses on the stand to identify Richard Allen in the video, just like the Alex Murdaugh trial. Ooh. Interesting. Yeah, the juvenile witnesses. That's kind of interesting, Fluffy. I don't know why. Yeah. They'll play that video and say, is this the guy that walked past you? Does this look like the guy that walked past you? Yes. And there's so many, and then you could go from there on different things with that. But yeah. Yeah, totally agree. Fluffy Cookie, thank you so much for the $5 and your comment. I totally agree. So anyway, we're going to keep an eye on the Madeline Soto case. I felt like I wanted to take a break from that because there's nothing new out, and I don't blame, there's a lot of people, like with those cases, they get so big and people start putting stuff out. And there's new people that are coming along to that case because it's just being widely talked about. And so there's a lot of videos that say like they got new stuff, but really they're just kind of regurgitating the same kind of stuff. And there's really nothing wrong with that. If people are entertained, and educated, then, that's great. But I wanted to take a break from that. But I am keeping my eye on that case because I do wonder if is the mother going to get arrested, or is there, we don't even know what happened to her. We kind of found out what happened to Audrey Cunningham a few days after they found her body. So yeah. Alan Hinkle, thank you so much for the $10 super sticker. You are so awesome. And I know not everybody can donate. Not everybody's financially, in a great place. I've been there. I totally understand. Just you being here, hitting that like button if you can, taking the time to watch the show. You are amazing. Oh, there was one more comment I wanted to get to. Chasing Stardust, thanks, Chris. You are one of the few YouTubers that are humble, which provides the facts with no fluff. I like how you worded that. Thank you, Chasing Stardust. Yeah, we do try to stick with the facts, for sure. The other thing, I think he chose to talk to the DNR guy for a good reason as well. To come forward but dodge the actual... Oh, yes, Carrie. Totally. Yes, it would be interesting. Yeah, I think you're so right on, Carrie. If there was kind of an... Yeah, he goes to a conservation officer, meets him at a grocery store, instead of coming into the local police station where they could have actually gotten his recorded interview or, you know, something that's a little more legit, instead of this guy writing down a statement on a piece of paper, which I know the defense is going to harp at. But, yeah, I totally agree. I think that was definitely pre-planned. I couldn't agree more. Mind of Monsters, it's clickbait, Madeline. I'm assuming Madeline? Yeah. And infuriates me. I don't want her case to turn into a circus. Right. Yeah. And that's, yeah. And the biggest example, Summer Wells. Tragedy to what happened to her, and she deserves justice just like the rest. But my goodness, the people that have... yeah, I can't cover that case. I feel dirty covering that case. I have no issues, getting her name out there. But my goodness, it just, and it's toxic too. Oh my gosh. Sandy, Chris, I went out to all the homeless encampments I know in Salt Lake City just last month, but not finding anyone who recognized him. Oh my gosh, Sandy, that's amazing. I hope you were safe. That's amazing. She's talking about Aiden Clune, and because they believe there was a picture taken of a boy that kind of looked like Aiden Clune, because his mother believes that there's a possibility he did get out of those mountains. I would say if I had to put a percentage on it, I would give him a 25% chance, and I would say that's a pretty good chance, considering how far deep he went into the mountain range. But the fact that they took his truck worries me. And that's why I'd say it's kind of low, because the area he's in, even though it's summer, it's the desert. It gets hot during the day and it gets cold at night. Carrie Summers, thank you so much for the $10. Love your comment. Couldn't agree more. DNR, that's the conservation officer. I forget that. The DNR, but it's the conservation officer. Yeah, Department of Natural Resources. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you. I couldn't think of it. So, Summer Wells' case was ruined from day 2 onwards. Yeah, and that's not funny. Oh, gosh. Yeah, the people really just... It's a shame. It's a shame. Yeah. No, yep. Yeah, and we could go on all day about that kind of stuff, but I'm going to end it here for my my wonderful mods who've been here for a little over an hour and a half now. Thank you, D, Copper Horse, Karen, Jocelyn, Jennifer. I don't know if I saw Michaela, but they do such an amazing job. And of course, to all of you guys who make this such a wonderful and welcome community. We'll be back here Wednesday, unless there's breaking news from some of these cases I covered. So with that, again, thank you to everybody that donated. If I missed any PayPals or donations, I will shout out tomorrow. Actually, I'm just going to double check. We got a few more. Oh my gosh. Okay, Sharon donated $100 towards the drone fund, and Catherine Pond as well. So thank you, Sharon. Huge thank you. Catherine, Heather, and Rhonda for the PayPals. Oh my gosh, I'm glad I checked that actually. Would have felt terrible. Thank you guys again. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Sharon, amazing. Everybody, you guys are so awesome. And I am going to get the outro ready. All right, much love to you guys. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you Wednesday.